Hi, good morning, dear friends. Welcome to Akshadhari. I'm Devraj. So today is 19th May 2023. So let me start today newspaper. I hope you guys are preparing and working towards to improve our communication in English. And so I hope you would learn. So if you guys are facing any issues related to communication, please leave the comment in the comment box. Before going to start the newspaper reading, I would request you guys to please subscribe to my channel, like and comment so that I can bring very informative videos in the upcoming in the future. So let me start to the newspaper. Yes guys, let's start to the newspaper. The Hindu. So let me see what is in the front page. Can integrated system of medicine work? Doctors debate if a mix will benefit patients. Supreme Court to get two new judges today. Kashmir on high alert for G20 meet. SC lifts Bengal ban on the Kerala story. Congress hands uncertainty, fix Siddaramaya as Chief Minister. Shivkumar to be Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, swearing in ceremony to be held tomorrow at Kantiwa Stadium. Party leadership now turns to shortlisting 32 ministers from these 50 hard aspirants. Megwal replaces Kiran Rijiju as law minister. TN amended law on Jallikattu valid SC. Two airports in a state bagged Green Airports Recognition 2023 award. Two of three Tier 2 airports in state move up in customer satisfaction index ranking. RT activist WG had GBR3 passes away. Luxurious villa project. Nama Metro's Vayapanalli Kyarpura section likely to be operational by July 15. Close to 27,000 passengers use Kyarpura to Whitefield line. A major jump in patronage is expected after the entire 15.5 km stretch opens. Women PSA fined for riding pillion without helmet. A foot-half woman police sub-inspector riding pillion on a motorcycle without a helmet was captured by a motorist, and he put up a post questioning the enforcement agency, which went viral on social media. The post questioned why no action was taken against the officer. As the picture went viral, senior police official took cognizance and asked the jurisdictional Cubbon Park police traffic police to take necessary action. The police tracked down the officer based on the registration number of the bike and slapped a fine with a warning to wear helmet while riding motorcycle. It may be recalled that the traffic department had issued a directions to traffic police to wear full face and ISI mark helmet compulsorily. After a drive was launched against bikers wearing substandard helmets, a senior police officer said that there are exceptions for the policemen in some cases, while others who are riding bikers should wear full face standard helmets. Polish officials suspended BML, BHL, and Spain-based company bid to supply AC coaches for suburban rail project. BBMP officials recover 8 guntas of Kagadaspura Lake area. CT aspirants worry about possible traffic snags on the day our new CM is sworn in. KA is in touch with the Bangalore Traffic Police and the traffic advisory will be released on Friday. Police officers say that there will not be too many roadblocks in the CBD area. One of the first challenges before new government is negotiating with private medical colleges and the demand for fee hike. Women killed in accident. Controversies surrounding bike taxis refused to die down in Bangalore. Right from the time bike taxi services began, it has been mired in controversies. While the operators are offering employment to several people, other transport aggregators are complaining that bike taxis are being allowed to run without any regulations. Among the users, while some see it as a low fare alternative to auto rickshaws, others fear harassment and rash driving by the riders. Affordable and available, but whose plenty pros and cons of bike taxis. Metro Plus, Hani Hanaima Arigami had an old friendship. Japan Habba was back in Bangalore after 2 years hiatus. Georgius. Siddaramaiah gets picked for second term as CEO. Congressman Friday dedicates to be Deputy CM and continue as KPCC chief. As HDD turns 90, dealers across parties greet him. We will bounce back. Bombay. Stalin, EPS, and other leaders hailed the sea ruling on Jallikat. However, Bharati Ramachandran, CEO Federation of Indian Animal Protection Organizations, said the judgment was a big setback to animals. LDF, UDF, SPA over Kerala government's track record. Gangs peddling sedative injections busted. Dilapidated well of Vijayanagar era unearthed in Nallamala forest. A long drawn test for India's diplomatic skills. This is the editorial page, guys. Let me read this editorial page. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on a week-long journey to Japan, Papua New Guinea, and Australia from May 19th, a number of substantive global issues are on the annual in his discussions with leaders of the G7 outreach in Hiroshima, Japan, as well as during his travels from there, with bilateral issues taking a back seat to India's position in the multilateral sphere. This mandate a very careful balance between the two ends of an increasingly polarized world that has been blown apart from fought up to the Russian war in Ukraine. This is also a war that looks uneasily at facing the geopolitical challenge from China. Wise over trade access, supply chain reliability, and food and energy security. Although the Summit Quad Summit, Australia, Japan, India, Japan, US, due to be held in Sydney has been cancelled in the wake up of US President Joe Biden's domestic troubles. All four Quad leaders will meet on the sidelines of the G7 following this foray with the Indo-Pacific coalition of democracies. Mr. Modi will be in Washington in June for a state visit, a rare honor accorded by the US President that has been reserved for the only two Indian leaders in the past, President Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. This visit will be marked by many strategic forays to bring India-US ties close. Almost immediately after his return, Mr. Modi will need to pivot to the opposition coalition, however, hosting the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit scheduled for July 3-4, where he is expected to receive China's President Xi Jinping, Russia's President Vladimir Putin, the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, leaders of Central Asian states, the soon-to-be added SCO members, the President of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, and the President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, and other guests. The word of the SCO, the composition of the SCO, which includes those being inducted as observers such as Myanmar, gives the impression of it being a largely anti-Western grouping, with practically every country sanctioned by the West as a part of it. With the SCO, a grouping that represents most of the world's population, GDP growth, and energy reserves, India has comfort in its common stand against unilateral sanctions such as those against Russia. A lesson or two may also be learned from the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Council for Foreign Ministers held in Goa earlier this month, where India's bilateral relations with mainly Pakistan, but China and even Russia were allowed to overshadow more substantive multilateral outcomes. This is a particular annoyance to Central Asian countries that have always insisted that no bilateral issues are brought up at the SU. Let it go the way of the other regional South Asian grouping, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. A week after the SCO summit, Mr. Modi will pivot back to the European Union as chief guest at France's National Bastille Day parade. Visits to other European capitals are likely. August will see yet another turn with the BRICS summit in South Africa. Mr. Modi will engage with the leaders of Russia, China, Brazil, and South Africa on an alternative BRICS payment mechanisms to the dollar dominated international system, along with the other ideas on the agenda seeking to build a counter narrative to the US European Union combined. In September, as Mr. Modi hosts every global leader at the G20 summit in Delhi, as diplomatic skills will be tested again. Not since 2010 have leaders of all permanent members of the UN Security Council visited Delhi in the same year, let alone at the same time, striking a balance. The timing of these engagements is no accident, nor it is explained by India's traditional adherence to the principle of non-alignment. If anything, Mr. Modi has consistently refused to attend the non-aligned movement in person summits thus far and has prepared his own version of multi-directional engagements. In 2017, the same year that India took part in reviving the Quad in the face of over belligerence from Beijing. India also joined the SCO as a full member, agreeing to host the summit this year. New Delhi also exchanged places with both Italy and Indonesia in order to host the G20 in 2023. If it is hosting the two major summits in the same year, it is by choice, not coincidence. It is to India's credit that it continues to maintain this balance and is being quoted by countries across the global divide, even as it seeks to hold out against two nuclear armed land neighbors at its frontier. Mr. Modi has even managed to maintain India's sweet spot without needing to follow Indonesian President Joko Widodo example in traveling to Kiev, her inviting Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky and its Foreign Minister Metro Kuleba to address the G20 in order to strike a balance on the war. While India's attempts at being a balancing post, as a senior official put it, are placing out much more visibly, it is also setting off a trend many countries in Southeast Asia and the global South, not to mention countries such as Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, and Israel, are managing their ties with the West without joining its stand on Ukraine or sanctions. France's latest reiteration of strategic autonomy after French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to Beijing indicates that even the Western coalition has its fissures on this point. Clearly, autonomous strategy or multi-alignment has paid off for India's in this critical year, disturbing the balance. There are a few unlikely black swan events that could jolt India off its careful tightrope walk and force a rethink of its policies on one way or the other. A sudden success for Ukraine in its much delayed upcoming spring offensive, for example, would require New Delhi to reconsider its unalloyed ties with Moscow. Any major aggression by China across any part of the line of actual control would be another such event requiring a strategic overhaul. India may not India may also be forced to rethink if Russia turns more belligerent over the payment problem or withhold supplies of defense all the way to India under pressure from China. Equally, an addition by the US and the EU to force a choice on India to go forward with unilateral sanctions for the increase in Russian oil inflows processed at Rosneft owned refinery in Gujarat or through the old threat of countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act related sanctions for India's acquisition of the Russian S-400 missile systems. In the absence of these at present unlikely scenarios, India is likely to continue to try to work its interest on both sides of the geopolitical fence. India's tasks ahead will be made more difficult if New Delhi fails to ensure at the SCO summit in July or during the BRICS summit in August that Moscow and Beijing accede to a consensus on a joint communique at the G20 summit in this September. The US-led G7 bloc seems sanguine in allowing the differences in text to continue, suggesting that the two outliers can be ignored or even omitted from the group. For India, tasked with forging a consensus which has accompanied every G20 summit in the past, the failure to issue a joint statement would be an ignoble distinction given the high stakes involved. The next 100 days will decide whether India can retain its reputation in poaching a fair balance between its conflicting interests across the global divide, while remaining a gracious and exposed as the word comes from for the G20. This is about the business. Let me go to the next editorial. Money is about more than just survival. There is little surprise that Bernie Sanders, in his book It's Okay to Be Angry About a Capitalism, has blamed unfettered capitalism for an unprecedented level of income and wealth inequality. The Vermont senator recently came up with a radical idea: the US government should confiscate 100% of any money that Americans make, about 999 million. I think people can make it on 999 million. I think that they can survive just fine. He said, but who says that having money is just for survival? Doesn't money buy many things? Take happiness for instance. Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, economic Nobel laureates in 2002 and 2015, respectively, hypothesized in 2010 that happiness increases steadily with income up to an annual income of $75,000, but that there was a monetary happiness plateau behind that point. Matt Collingsworth of the University of Pennsylvania, however, found no evidence of such a plateau. Well-being improves with money, according to his 2021 study. Recently, in an adversarial collaboration, Kahneman, Collingsworth, and Barbara Mellers reanalyzed the experience same sample data and discovered that the flattening pattern only affected 20% of the population. Who were the leap happy? One could certainly argue that by happiness they mean well being. Money and influence. Does money is power and the rich people might have a lot of influence over policy changes in many places as one may perceive. But where is the evidence? In a recent work that was published in April in the British Journal of Political Science, Michael Persson and Anders Sundell, two Swedish researchers from the University of Gothenburg, showed that having money increases your odds of achieving your goals. They examined this survey data and the preference of around 300 policy proposals from 30 European countries during a 30-year period, which included information on whether or not each policy proposal was implemented. The policy proposals covered topics such as welfare, immigration, foreign policy, and the environment. In all but two European countries, they found that the rich consistently have a higher likelihood of getting what they want from policy and politics over the course of decades. Now, it is evidence-based conclusion. At least the average popular proportion of rich households supporting policies was 57.1% compared to 53.7% for low income households. It is interesting that there was no proof that variations in unequal congruence were connected with economic inequality, campaign finance regulations, voter turnout, or union density. Policy outcomes and the affluent. This was already known in the American context. Political scientist Martin Gilens found in his ground-breaking study in 2012 that in the US, actual policy outcomes strongly reflect the preferences of the most affluent but exhibit little relationship to the preferences of Americans with poor or middle incomes. Many believe that significant economic transactions between wealthy individuals and the political elite in the US may pose a link that influences the politicians to act in accordance with the views of the wealthy. Nobel laureate economist Paul Krugman, for example, stated in an opinion piece in the New York Times in 2020 that the wealth have historically dominated campaign contributions in the US, which is related to their influence in policy making. Then, in a paper in 2014 published in the journal Perspective on Politics, Martin Gilens and Benjamin First Page examined data sets that included measures of the key variables for 1779 policy issues and discovered that while average citizens and mass-based and interest groups have little or no independent influence, economic elites and organized groups representing business interests do. However, neither majoritarian electoral democracy nor majoritarian pluralism as a key pact was supported by the results. Only theories of economic elite domination and biased pluralism did. Paul Krugman attempted to address the question of why do the rich have so much power. In the opinion piece, tax rates and the corporations and high incomes have gone down. Unions have been crushed. The minimum wage adjusted for inflation is lower than it was in the 1960s. How is that possible? Krugman ponders. In Europe, well, is the campaign contribution the only factor? Certainly not in an egalitarian welfare state such as Sweden, where campaign contributions are generally low. Michael Parsons also looked at the relationship between public opinion and policy and discovered that high income citizens continue to receive the most policy responsiveness. Studies for Germany, the Netherlands, and Norway, influenced by Gillen's work, came to similar findings. One might get the impression that policy outcomes resemble a coin toss, essentially random, said Paulson and Sandel in the European context, but they remain in an imbalance. For some reason, the coin tends to fall more often on the side of the affluent. Now, Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or others, how to be aware of who actually governs and who truly rules contrary to popular rules. Contrary to popular belief, billionaires may not be policy failures. Often they are instrumental in creating policies instead. Although you might be angry about capitalism, rest assured that money is about more than just survival. It's about happiness. How money will money give the happiness or not? So warning. India must invest in infrastructure that boosts defense against disasters. Let me go to the next page. Two to tango. The Congress must show the success of its inclusive vision in Karnataka. Can an integrated system of medicine work? There is a gap between the patient and the doctor. It is filled by alternative medicine with good communication and evidence-based and compassionate care. Alternative medicine practices can die down. An endless interrogation, the intimidating experience of being questioned again and again in Israel and Palestine after covering the Prime Minister's visit. SC refuses to lift HC a stay order on Bihar caste-based survey. SC sets aside West Bengal's Bihar and the Kerala story. Producer had disclaimer that the film is a fictionalized account of events and that there is no authentic data on conversions. Court says a statewide ban on the film suffered from overbreadth. You are saying that the ban on the film is on the basis of 13 people. You get any 13 people, they will say ban any movie unless you are showing them cartoons. Jeremiah picked by Congress. You are saying that the ban on the film is on the basis of 13 people. You get any 13 people, they will say ban any movie unless you are showing them cartoons. India is planning to hold Quad meet in Japan, says Foreign Secretary. Japan seeks to send out strong message against Russia and why. Land for jobs scam, EDA questions Rabri Devi. Modi to inaugurate new parliament building on May 28th. Megwal replaces Kiran Rijiju as law minister. Why no full-time ministers for law? Asks opposition. Congress says there is lack of talent in the treasury benches, while the BSP says Rijiju has caused irreversible damage to the judiciary. Rawat says his ouster is victory of the judicial system. Government clears appointment. Minister Vishwanath to be sworn in as SG judges today. Srinagar G20 meet, schools closed, politicians, minorities put on alert. Congress questions Modi's silence on Manipur. Congress forms observer team. Center pushes vaccination as lumpy skin ravages cattle. About 10,000 cases reported in the country in May. 128 cattle deaths in Uttarakhand alone. Officials say severity of infection has been curbed by vaccinations. Cattle developing herd immunity. The Pfizer temporarily suspends a sale of 4 of its antibiotics. Giant efforts needed to stop a smuggling of artifacts, says Modi. Bring back Koinur from the UK parliamentary panel notes in its report. Rohingya refugees in India under arbitrary detention. They need exit permissions. Con Venkade gives CBI questioning a miss. Sand best alternative. Israel deploys heavy police force ahead of testy Jerusalem march. Former UK PM Johnson abused France Macron. Claims hate. Pak police. Kiev weathers unprecedented wave operation missile overnight. Syria's Assad arrives in Saudi Arabia for Arab League summit. Pak police besiege Imran's home as deadline expires. Papua New Guinea to sign security pact with US. Two dead in sunken Chinese vessel. Indian Navy replies fee 81 for search. SBI Q4 profit surges 83% to 16,695 crore. Asset quality rises. Lenders grow. NPA ratio improved by 119 basis points every year on year to 2.78% in the quarter. Bank expects credit growth to sustain momentum in the current financial year, says Chairman Kara. Ramco Cement's Q4 net rises to 23% to 152 crore. Indigo Tan's Q4 net profit of 919 crore. EU norm threatens coffee leather export. Sports. Manchester City outclasses Real Madrid to line up another chance for a maiden title. Abdullah Jyoti win triple jump and 200 meters respectively make the cut for the Asians. Let me see again. Abdullah and Jyoti. We are entering Friday's game as the season's lost. Give a lot of freedom, confidence, Parnell and Captain Joe Felicis. Let's say LSD to play weighing big hands, green and maroon colors against KKR. Gurbhaj has a clear agenda against Naveen, smashing for sixes. Rahul challenges Ride and Kohli masterclasses to sprawl past sunrises. 7 teams in the hunt for 3 sports. Dhawan's Punjab Kings and Samson Rajasthan Royals. We have to keep alive slim chance of playoffs qualification. Nadal to miss Roland Garros, a first since his debut in 2005. Medvedev enters the last 4 stage of the Italian Open. India clubbed with Japan, Vietnam and Uzbekistan. India women go down to Australia and first hockey test. Prathamesh and Avneet topple top seeds, book semi-finals berths. Bengaluru summer meetings begins tomorrow. Challenging for cisgender women to compete against transgender women who have a higher level of testosterone. However, these men and women identify they should have a place in sports, they should have a place in everything in life. My hope is that we can find a fair way for all to compete. Walking the pep talk. How did Manchester City turn the table on serial winner Real Madrid? We are still there. We are still there and don't count us out, says Hayes sprinters Rabani. TV testing stuck in the previous century and waiting for change. In nature, the authors recommend using molecular tests with non-sputum samples in a decentralized facility that can test for multiple conditions. Vegetarian or pescatarian diet. Text and context. People with diabetes and hypertension to be put on standard care. India's exports to the EU to be impacted by deforestation regulation. Significant growth in India's coal production in April 2023. Displacements caused by natural disasters in South Asia in 2022. Worth of weapons imported by Myanmar since 2021. Coup. Elections and the waves. Why are political parties provided free airtime and public broadcasters during elections? How does the scheme work and how does it benefit a political party? How does the election commission distribute time vouchers two parties without any bias. What are RBI regulations on deep deposits, green deposits? What does the framework say? Can green deposits help the environment in any way? How Hollywood finally cracked the video game adaptation. With The Last of Us and the Super Mario Bros. Movie turning out to be immensely successful. Here is a deep dive into the history of the genre, the famous, the infamous video game movie Curse and how it was broken. This is about the video games. Recently, doctors have taken to the streets protesting the death of a medicinal intern in Kira. It is a tribute to some doctors who have changed the course of history. Yes, guys, this is the last page. I hope you guys enjoyed the reading. So, and hope you guys are working towards improve your communication in English. So please subscribe to my channel, like and comment for more videos related to education, healthcare, and in personal interviews, so that I can bring very informative videos in the upcoming days. Please subscribe to my channel, like and comment. Let's see you in the upcoming videos. Everyone have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.